you so much for coming here. We have 3 Klein brothers. If you would please just tell us your name and how old you are, maybe.
Okay, I'm Gary Klein. I was born October 23rd, 1946. And
Ronald Klein, number 2 in the family, and September 10, 1945.
And Doug Klein, or Douglas Klein. I was born November 8th, 1942.
Okay, that's great, thank you. And it was, boy, Milwaukee was a different place then, I assume. And so your parents were already here? Where, did they come from somewhere else?
They weren't already here. My father worked at Iron Fireman just off of McLaughlin near Milwaukie Avenue.
I see.
And
in Portland.
And my parents, when I was young, were in an apartment near
17th.
on 17th, which in Portland is Milwaukie Avenue.
Yes.
And near the intersection with McLaughlin. And so in 1948, the day before I started school in the first grade, we moved from the apartment to our house in Milwaukie, which my parents had built. It was really just half a house. They had enough to build the first half, and we all
Had a common bedroom in the garage.
Oh,
Yes.
3 boys?
Yeah, 3 boys and the folks all slept in the garage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You're talking about
like I
one-
said, it was a half a house.
Yeah.
it was a double garage.
And of course, you know where it is, where the Johnson Creek comes into the Willamette.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
on the,
I'll say off Lava Drive.
Get close enough.
So originally they came from the Brooklyn area of Portland?
Yes, but they were both born and raised in Medford, Oregon.
Oh.
but working here for some time in Portland.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think they still have the Iron Fireman somewhere.
Well, it was acquired,
Light electronic specialties
Yeah.
became Boeing Portland.
yeah.
Okay, and so did you all go to school at Milwaukie Grade School, or
Yes, all of us.
Grade, junior, and high, all 3 of us.
all 3 of you?
I don't know, for all of us, maybe they can enhance this a little bit, but I think my father and mother bought the property in 40, maybe a little after they were married.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, so it took a while to get the money.
and then the war came along, and whether that was why it wasn't built earlier or built upon, or just getting enough money to do it. But then they began building it, obviously, a year or so before we moved in 48. That's my recollection.
Yeah.
Yeah. that's-
So did you 3 help build it?
No.
No,
I was less than 2.
So?
Yeah, were you lazy or?
I guess I was.
We were just talking about that. I don't remember much about the property until we probably moved in, whereas Douglas does remember visiting the site.
Oh,
When it
well,
was
it's a
under
beautiful.
construction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of property.
Yeah.
And so you grew up in Milwaukie when it was a very small town,
Yes.
and it was more of a town of its own rather than part of Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
definitely.
So what kinds of things did you do growing up? Just things you remember doing.
Go Doug.
Well, we'd run around on the beach and in the forest next to it. I think especially Ron and Gary ended up going out on boats in the river.
On the Willamette River
Yeah.
on occasion
Oh,
in the
okay.
50s, that sort of thing. But yeah, we stayed, because we weren't well connected to the city and other neighborhoods with an abundance of children, we pretty much stayed in our local area, correct? We had a streetcar trestle, which you have enough pictures of that we were forbidden to cross, but later we did anyway.
Of course.
But there wasn't too many other children, it wasn't any in the neighborhood, really.
We had water on 3 sides. There's the Willamette River to the south, then Johnson Creek is to the east and the north. So everybody we had friends with was to the west and slightly north, which was very minimal. at
There's a
that time.
lot of population in that area now, but it was very sparse before.
Yes.
There were 2 houses immediately next to us with
And they didn't have
childless
kids.
couples.
Yes.
And then farther down the track, the streetcar track went into Portland one direction and Oregon City the other.
Before you got to Waverly Golf Course, there was the Fran's house and another house or two, and that was it. Otherwise, you had to get up to Waverly Heights. But actually, at that time, there was a lot of houses down in the industrial area called the Park.
Park, maybe.
Yeah, but we didn't get down there either, because that was,
Crossing too many streets.
yeah, way too many, probably a half mile away almost.
I
Yeah.
mean, he's talking about this industrial park west of McLaughlin and
Yeah,
east of
the
17th.
ice storage places there, Oregon Liquor Commission, all of that
The
is in that
Keno's, I think
area.
the Keno's and then it was United Produce or something.
Yeah, and the ice,
But it was a complex of little houses.
After the
that were
war.
built after World War II.
For veterans, yeah.
Yeah.
All up here on, off of 32nd across from Providence. All those homes were brought up there afterwards.
Oh, interesting.
And that would have been in the early, you think, 50s or mid-50s? Early 50s.
They were there,
I
late
think-
40s,
I
early
think
50s.
The school bus that I took only went to those houses during the first grade and probably the second grade for me, which would have been then 48 and 49.
Okay, so you probably did some things in town, I would assume. If you walked over there, it's not
Yeah,
that far.
with our mom, we only had one car at that time, which the father took to work. So it was when it was available, or we would walk, a fair walk around. If, I guess. it was.
Well, wasn't there
We
at the
walked
time.
over the bridge that isn't there.
True.
Well, their access to the properties next to where Gary lives now had a wooden bridge, which
Broke down on phase 2 of building the house.
yeah, and maybe 53 or 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
About right.
oh, so yeah, way back then.
So that was a way to access 99, cross it, and go to where the Safeway used to be.
Well, there was still Lava Drive though, right?
We didn't go up there, it was a big field.
I mean,
there.
all it was a driveway to a farmhouse that continued on to the railroad track and trailed around the edge into Waverly Country Club.
Oh,
Yeah, there
so it
wa-
wasn't really a good way to get to Milwaukee.
Cross the bridge and
bridge
it's all
that-
gravel road.
Yeah, and then I think immediately something was developed for us to get out to Lava Drive
I see, I see.
After the
incident.
bridge broke, yes.
Yeah, the incident, okay.
What was the incident? So
Yeah.
Well, a concrete crashed through the bridge. It wasn't made. Dad told them, don't come down there. The bridge isn't that strong. There was no signage on the bridge about certain weight limit, and he forgot to tell the driver that. So the driver drove onto the bridge. It collapsed, made the front page of the Oregonian.
Oh, yeah.
And then Milwaukee Review too.
And
You probably have
Yeah, story.
it. You might have a picture
There
of
may
it.
be yeah, where did you get,
What
somebody
year
sent
would
us a
that have
picture.
been? 53?
Well,
Or 4, one or the other.
I took a picture of it with a family camera that went to the Milwaukee Review.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Maybe I've got
We
something.
used to have a lot of those Milwaukee reviews, but they weren't stored right a while back.
sure.
Oh, dear.
And so, yeah, I know.
So at that time, then we started getting hooked to Lava Drive. Before that, we never went to.
Oh,
Because it was, Pendleton wasn't there, so all Pendleton Moda now, because that was a Pendleton building and it
Right.
went in about 55. But anyhow, so that was a big field and all we did is maybe play ball in it. We never even got up to Lava Drive.
oh, I see.
Well,
And so Did you have a bus to school or did you walk to school?
When I was in the first and second grade, there was a bus to school. But after they moved all these people out of this industrial park, they discontinued it. There weren't enough kids to pick up. They had been picking up me, and then one or two people from Waverly Heights that came out to 17th, and about 3 or 4
From Garthwick, maybe.
from Garthwood.
Because it used to come, yeah.
Oh, all the way up there.
And then a couple dozen in this industrial park. But then they got rid of the industrial park. The people in Garthwick somehow got
Into the South Transfer.
into the school district in Multnomah, next to them, Selwood or something, or Moreland.
I
Something like
see.
that.
So how did
And
you get
then
to school?
I don't know what happened to like 2 kids from Waverly.
Okay.
But I ended up
It was your ride.
walking or riding to grammar school.
Yeah,
And
Oh, on your bicycle?
yeah.
I had a bicycle probably by the 3rd grade.
Okay, and that you guys too?
I remember taking the bus a few times and then walking or riding the bike.
Okay, so it was
I
walking.
don't remember a bus. I was either walking or riding.
I think
So this
we,
bus problem was in maybe my 4th grade or something.
well, I either because I could walk with you.
Oh, I see.
And I walked even though I was 2nd or 1st grade.
Right,
from there on.
yes.
And
You had your big brother go.
So I never had the bus.
Yeah,
I
so,
believe.
so what about some of the big things that have happened in Milwaukee, like the Columbus Day Storm? Were you guys around then?
The who?
Oh, yeah,
Columbus
Columbus Day
Day.
Storm.
Yeah.
I was in Corvallis.
Yeah.
Okay, he was in college.
Okay,
The wind.
Yes.
Yeah, we remember that, and we had, of course, the house faces the south, so we had branches
Some-
and things. It was, yeah,
Minimal roof damage or house damage, but we were
a
out
messy
of power.
yard.
Yeah, but we were out of power for about a week at the home. And so I remember that night, anybody came by the house, they got a bowl of ice cream.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
How about when Kennedy came?
I was there.
You, is that right? I was too. We had I remember that event, certainly.
Yeah, did you go
Were you in
downtown?
high school?
Yeah, we had an event in the auditorium for probably everybody, I suspect.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
So you must have been a senior and I would have been a freshman.
yeah.
Okay, so you went to
Kennedy
it.
came.
What
and I
year was that?
62? No.
Is that,
63, 60?
No,
60.
shorter than that, because he was elected.
gosh.
60.
Well,
I think it
depending
could have
when it
been
was.
59, but it
I
might
thought I
have
was in the 4th grade, so I'm thinking 64.
I mean,
Okay, I was in high school, that's what I was thinking. Doug wasn't there, because that Columbus Day Storm was before that.
I mean, it was when I
Yeah,
was in
right.
Corvallis.
And the flood, it kind of all happened
Yeah, in a few year
within a
period.
year.
So Kennedy came October 20th, 1959.
Yeah.
59, but it came
okay.
twice.
Oh, well then I guess it was also 60.
Oh, I didn't need to tell you.
No, it's okay. Exercise.
Yeah, we had a flood in
'Cause I
64,
remember one time
and then the one in 96.
Yeah, no, I think 59 sounds, she just checked that, that's
Right.
correct, yeah.
Right. I
And when
remember
was the
that.
second time?
The second I was just checking on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that would have been right, you would have been that would
So
have
I
been my
would have
first
been in
year,
high
I would
school
have been
then.
a freshman.
So I didn't see him.
Well, I remember him when he died because I was in the 4th grade. That's what I
Okay, that
remember.
would be true.
Everybody remembers that. I think
Yeah,
you're-
well, anybody around here.
You're right, exactly, almost 6 months later, April 22nd, 1960. I
Okay.
didn't realize that.
I remember there was one student that shook his hand. That was a fellow by the
Only
name
one?
of Frank Clore
Oh,
in my
yeah.
class.
Yeah.
Oh, quite an honor.
Yeah.
Have you, I don't know if he's around, but he was connected, Frank Clore, and the Clore family, he had an uncle, or yes, I think an uncle that I worked with at one of the service stations here. Also, his name was Frank Clore.
Oh.
And I had it would have been his nephew, Ray Clore, that was in my great as well. And I think their history, that family, whether they're still around or not, I don't know.
I think he became mayor of Milwaukee long after I left.
Who hasn't?
Gary should know.
I don't know, but it could have been. He was politically
Involved.
oriented, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy to be politically involved in a small town.
Yeah.
Dad was a counselor 2 different times. Ran for mayor once.
Oh, really?
Did not get there. Possibly, it was, I don't remember when, that was in the 60s, I think, when he ran for mayor.
Or late 50s or 60s. It was the late 50s.
Oh, okay.
He attended lots of council meetings.
Yes.
Even much later,
Even when he wasn't a
in
councilor.
the 70s.
Well, you did, you get involved.
I don't think he was actually elected as a councilman. He
Oh.
ran. Gary?
No, he was a councilman and
Yes.
ran for mayor, but he was on the city
Oh, I
council.
see, I see.
Yeah.
That's
And he
interesting.
decided to run, and then he probably was still involved, but I don't know if he didn't become a councilman after that.
Oh, did that keep you boys involved a little bit? That you did?
Oh, yeah, I remember handing out flyers.
Oh, well, to that degree, but,
Sure.
we were a little bit, I think, or you're thinking we weren't so involved with the downtown and beyond as many kids that we went to school with would have been.
Sure.
I think just because it wasn't easy to access.
Right, but as you said, your dad was,
Yeah.
very involved, so I thought maybe got you involved. But yeah, handing out flyers, things like that. So also, the 64 flood.
Yeah.
Now, you wouldn't have even been able to get out of your,
We could get out fine. The only problem was 17th got flooded over, so that made it a little harder.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, that was all flooded.
It didn't stop us, it just made it harder.
Oh, okay.
We were just discussing, we did help Mel Kimmel, who owned Kimmel's Hardware on Main Street, evacuate his home in the Oak Grove area.
Yeah.
In December of '64.
Because it was right on the river, I guess.
They were close to the river.
Yeah.
But he had the hardware store, Kimmel's Hardware, which
Too
is
close to the river.
across from the Victory Theater, if that name is familiar.
Oh, yes.
And
Did you go to the Victory Theater?
Oh, yeah.
on occasion.
On Saturdays?
Matinees
Yeah.
on occasion, yeah.
I got kicked out one time because my feet on the chair made an error.
Oh, right. What a rebel.
Not me.
That's funny. Well, do you think the 96 flood was worse than the
You
64?
was here, we weren't. No.
Similar.
Okay.
The biggest thing I'd say, I have pictures at home, I didn't bring them, of the 64 flood on how it covered the parking lot on the Pendleton property and around by our house. And then I was just going to look I have a picture of the 64 flood here too, and it shows a boat on the parking lot of Pendleton. So things weren't too good, but
Right.
that's the way it was.
Yeah, I don't think it would change if we have another flood like that.
If we do, it won't change at all. It'll
No.
be the same height.
Yeah.
And the bad news about either one of those is that lanes were being crossed on 99E down by Kellogg, where the Kellogg Creek goes into the river. It blocked 2 to 3 lanes of McLaughlin. And
Yeah.
so, but at our house, we were a good 15, 17 feet above that. We're that high up.
Oh, you're that high up.
So whenever I talk to anybody, I say, when it hits the second floor downtown Portland, I'll start to get concerned.
How about, did you guys take part in like the festival days, the Milwaukee Festival Days, did they have the umbrella parade then? I don't think they did.
I don't remember much festivals at
Okay.
that time, is going to be my answer. There were things. I had a newspaper stand, I had 2 of them downtown Milwaukee, and I used to deliver a paper to a few people, but had one at the old Safeway store, and that was the main one. And then I had a route, I would hand out papers at times. Plus, I had a paper stand at Pendleton for a while too.
Oh, okay. So you didn't, not really a lot of fooling around with the Milwaukie celebrations.
Not Doug or I mostly, but Gary, who stayed here and nearby and now lives, you know.
Right. I know that you were really involved, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah,
So
still
I assume
going.
you still are. I kind of went another way. So was there any kind of, well, each of you, each of you would answer this, what is the most significant thing about the city of Milwaukie that stands out for you? Was it school? Was it a friend you had? Was it something else, the festival of some sort? Or they actually, you guys went through the 1959 centennial.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. My remembrance of being a probably typical double country, of being a very comfortable, safe environment to be in. I'm kind of, when I think back now, I think that when we did have our bikes and could walk, we could do about anything we wanted, whereas today's children are probably, just due to the technologies where they're hardly out of view or out of sight, you know, in any connection, but we would...
I remember one time in the 50s, we were going to see our grandparents down in Laguna Beach, California, and we were going to go down by train, and Dad couldn't find the house key to lock the door. So that showed you how much we were all concerned. I mean, but we were going to be gone for weeks to take the train ride down, be down there.
Oh, we didn't lock the house?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but we seldom locked the house.
Yeah, it didn't lock the door.
More or less never locked it, except it ended up, whenever we went on trips,
Yeah.
he got hold of it finally.
He found the key and locked
every
the door.
trip after that, he was careful to lock up the house.
And is that your most memorable time in Milwaukee?
Well, no, that just, you said
Okay.
you know, and he started talking
Well,
about
yeah,
kids
and I think
issues.
that's the case
You
maybe
feel
across
safe.
the country.
Yeah, I think so too. My parents used to have their key to the house in a little box right next to the door.
Yeah, you're not open.
Okay. So that was is the freedom and the safeness that we used to have. How about you?
I like the friends I had here. I like the way that you could run around outside and do things a lot. It seems like more so than is done today.
Yeah, it's a little different environment. Yeah, we were outdoors. Today's the technology, not that anything bad about it, it's just different a little bit, but we had
It is.
freedom to do things.
We didn't spend much time in front of the computer screen.
Yeah.
We didn't even spend much time in front of the TV set.
Yeah.
We didn't get one till the late 50s.
Yeah.
55 maybe.
Yeah.
Mid-50s, I think. But yeah, it was a pleasant place, good friends, good people, good school, I believe.
I remember
And that's one reason I think our parents, when they were in the apartment and we were all growing up, they probably were searching and looking. And that's at one time I think they just ran across this property and bought it. And again, shortly after they were married in 40, within a year or two, and hung on to it for knowing that's where they wanted to build eventually.
And they bought 2 lots, not one. He thought he was going to build his mom's house on the lower lot by Johnson Creek, but then in the Vanport flood, that property completely was underwater. And so at some point in time, he gave up on the idea of building a second home on the lower lot by Johnson Creek.
Is that the one you donated to?
No, that's
Okay.
across the creek.
Okay.
No, he bought that other lot later as a way to keep Milwaukie back and us with a lot of space and room.
Okay.
And then,
He didn't have a big business there.
yeah, anyhow, so after Milwaukie was coming on their 100th anniversary, I got talking to my wife and Ron and Doug and decided to donate it to the city of Milwaukie in our parents' name and listed them on the plaque that was placed there too.
And thank you for that, if I may.
Thank
as a
you.
Milwaukeean.
Yeah, it's a unique, problematic lot, not very big, but suitable for what it's being used for now, I
You
think.
bet. People love it. Let's see. So seems like you three were pretty happy, just
Oh, yeah.
palling around together. You seem to, no big, huge fights or anything like that.
No.
Didn't have any rivals nearby, no, just each other.
Yeah.
Fights. We fought off and on, but we worked together pretty good as a whole.
Yes.
Doug is a professor of chemistry and physics, still working at Texas A&M.
Oh.
And back in the day, I'm going to get into some stuff, Doug, sorry, but not too much. But so he was a chemist and a physicist, so he's working on stuff, coming up with things. Ron, who is a retired pilot for commercial airlines, good graphic artist, he was going to go into drafting out of high school and did some work that way, but became a pilot. I was a banker, that had nothing to do with any of this, but anyhow. So Doug made the propellant, Ron built the rocket, and we occasionally shot rockets off from the house out over...
This is being recorded.
Oh,
It's okay. My brothers did too.
but they were all homemade. We were doing this in the 50s.
1958.
Yeah, that's what brothers too. So.
And we didn't do a lot, but we did. But we were so sophisticated. We had it hooked up to a switch in the house. We flipped the switch, ignited the rocket. My mom is watching all of this, going, "What the heck are we doing?"
I think we chose a time or two when she wasn't present.
But anyhow, so we did some things and had a lot of fun, and we're all still alive and doing well, so we didn't lose any fingers or hands, but had a lot of fun watching Doug do his thing, and Ron was the designer of the rocket, and
You were just
I flipped the switch.
so you're a good crew together. I think that's great. What else? Community volunteering. You probably learned that from your dad, somewhat at least.
Not here, nothing involved here.
Well, you know,
No,
you
but-
learned.
Well, he's involved in his
Doug is
hometown in
still
Arkansas.
Yeah, where I live now, I'm involved with the
Doug is
fire department.
See?
Doug is still teaching, helping others get into chemistry and physics.
Which means a lot.
And training master degree people and all sorts of stuff like this. Ron is working in Arkansas. He's the treasurer of the fire.
A volunteer fire department.
Yeah,
That's
volunteer
great.
fire department.
That's great.
He is the manager of a local airport grass strip, so to speak.
A private strip, yeah.
Yes. And of course, I'm involved in Milwaukie with John Trek Watershed Council. I'm on the advisory committee. I help them with things there, and then do other stuff in the city. Park and Rec Board, was on the Kellogg Good Neighbor Committee, and then involved with Historic Milwaukie and other stuff. But so yeah, everybody here does things.
Yeah, you learned how to volunteer. Thank you for that.
Yes.
Let's see, or thank your dad, I guess.
And
So-
Mom put up with it and got us through it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any other siblings, sisters? Or
No.
just the three boys?
This is it.
Yeah.
I think my dad and mom were a little bit unusual. They did a lot of things for the family, for the kids. I think we had this thing called a playroom. It was a little gymnasium that was, you had a basketball hoop inside, and you could play volleyball or badminton across the net in there.
Or half-court basketball.
This was
Yeah.
exceptional.
Yes.
Any place in Milwaukie, and I think even most of Portland.
Most anywhere.
Yeah.
Unusual, and
For the
they,
time.
and they provided a place for his chemistry lab.
Yeah.
Gary had a photography, dark room. And I took over the garage so they couldn't use it for anything else.
Did all kinds of mechanical things in it.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
they provided quite, and were understanding, I think.
Our house was in the Oregon Journal home section in the center of the Oregonian on the Sunday issue, And there was a front picture in that home and garden section of the Oregonian in 59, and then we had a 2-page fold-out in the center showing the house and pictures
Oh, my
and all of
goodness.
that. And then in 2002, when we moved back into the house, we had an 11-page fold-out in the home and garden section of the Oregonian again, talking about the remodel of the house and everything.
How did I miss that?
I don't know.
Oh, my
You
goodness.
have to give them a copy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please, we'd love that.
yes, please. We'll put it in our what?
Archives.
Our archives. There we go. What else? Anything else you want to put forth there about your family or Milwaukee, anything, or your lives, or?
My wife said that she doesn't know how my mom survived with the 3 boys and dad, and that
That's not
she
speaking
was
highly
virtually
of us.
just a saint working with all of us.
That's
Oh,
great.
I do think the downtown, because we would walk through downtown to the high school all the time, or
Yeah.
knew some of the people and businesses slightly on the site, but
Sure.
they were nice people. It was
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
great place to be. I assume there's others that are as nice, but not too many, as
It's-
friendly and.
it's a different world.
But it was a good place to be, in looking back and knowing what we know now.
Okay.
Great place.
Anything else?
Nothing that I can think
Right,
of.
just,
But just maybe have them say the happy birthday.
yeah, before that though, I just wanted to make sure that we covered everything you want to say. Maybe there's more.
The one thing I'm going to mention is that's one reason why I'm involved in everything on the riverfront, because I grew up there. I had a great time as a kid, enjoyed it immensely. These 2 guys at times give me heck, but we're still together and we get along great, and it's just enjoyable to be here.
You know, I would like to just say about Sherry. And,
Oh, that's okay.
if I could just enter before we stop.
Okay, my wife Sherry is a
Artist.
great, number one, and an artist, yes, and she does carvings and paintings, and she did the Milwaukie sign, worked with you on that when it first went up, and I'm happy to say it's now styled down in front of City Hall, and actually we've talked to them, and she's going to redo it again in the near future once this and another issue is cleared up at the house, then she'll work on it again.